In this video, we will explore the forces related to fluids, starting with the buoyancy force. The physical property of density will be explained, and its relationship to the buoyancy force discussed, with a focus on determining if an object will sink or float in a fluid. Secondly, the drag forces in air and liquids will be explained, and the kinematics of an object experiencing drag in a fluid will be discussed. An important physical property of fluids relating to buoyancy is the density. The density of material is the ratio of its mass to its volume, and it has the units of kilogram per cubic meter. The symbol ρ is used to denote density. The density of a solid or a liquid is essentially a constant value because the particles are so close together and the medium cannot be compressed. But for gases, the particles are far enough apart that significant changes in volume can occur, and so the density changes inversely with the change in volume. The mass of a substance can be found by rearranging the density equation. Mass is equal to the density times the volume. This is a helpful expression when working with fluids. An object in a fluid will displace a certain volume of the fluid. For irregularly shaped objects, this is a way of measuring their volume. If we submerge an object in a fluid, the displaced volume of the fluid will equal the volume of the object. Buoyancy is a force that acts on objects in a fluid. The buoyancy force points upwards, and according to Archimedes' principle, it's equal to the weight of the displaced fluid. If we consider an object submerged in a fluid, the object will displace an amount of fluid equal to its volume. The weight of this displaced volume is the force of gravity acting on it, which is equal to its mass times the gravitational field strength g. Using the density relationship, this mass can be expressed as the density of the fluid times the displaced volume. Since the buoyancy force is equal to this displaced weight, the buoyancy force is equal to the density of the fluid times the displaced volume times the gravitational field strength g. For a sinking object, the force of gravity acting on the object is greater than the buoyancy force. If we examine this a little further by substituting the formula for the buoyancy force into this inequality, and replacing the mass of the object in its gravitational force relationship with the density of the object multiplied by its volume, we can express this inequality in terms of the densities, volumes, and the gravitational field strength. Because the displaced volume is equal to the volume of the object, we can cancel out both the volume terms as well as the gravitational field strengths, and see that by comparing the densities of the object in the fluid, we can determine that if an object is denser than the fluid it is placed in, it will sink. Sometimes, though, objects will float on the surface of the fluid. For the object to be in equilibrium, the buoyancy force will equal the force of gravity. The force of gravity remains unchanged and is equal to the object's mass times the gravitational field strength. Since the buoyancy force is equal to the weight of the displaced volume, a floating object will displace only enough volume to balance the force of gravity, so only a portion of the height of the object will be submerged. If we explore this mathematically, the buoyancy force will be equal to the density of the fluid times the displaced volume multiplied by the gravitational field strength. By substituting for the buoyancy force and replacing the mass of the object with the density of the object multiplied by the volume of the object, we again arrive at an expression relating volumes, densities, and gravitational field strengths. Here the volumes are not equal and cannot be cancelled out, but the gravitational field strengths can. Rearranging this expression, we can see that the ratio of the densities of the object and the fluid will be equal to the ratio of the volume that is submerged to the volume of the object. For an object with a constant cross-sectional area, the volume of the object is its cross-sectional area multiplied by its height. We can substitute this expression into our ratio and cancel out the equal cross-sectional areas. The resulting ratio describes how much of an object will be submerged. The ratio of the densities will equal the ratio of the height submerged to the total height of the object. Let's consider this example question. An object is floating on the surface of a liquid. The density of the object is 3/4 that of the liquid. What fraction of the object is above the surface of the liquid? We know that the ratio of the densities will equal the ratio of the heights, so we can substitute the given ratio of the densities into this expression, and quickly see that the same ratio will apply to the heights. 3/4 of the height of the object is submerged in the fluid, which means 1/4 of the height of the object is above the surface of the liquid. The resistive forces acting on an object moving through a fluid is proportional to the velocity of the object and opposes the motion of the object, so they impact the kinematics of an object. Consider, for example, an object released from rest and falling due to gravity. If air resistance is ignored, the object will accelerate towards the ground with a constant acceleration due to gravity. The displacement time graph and the velocity time graph for this motion were discussed in Topic A, with the displacement time graph showing the parabolic relationship and the velocity time graph showing a linear relationship with respect to time. These graphs describe the kinematics of an object undergoing a constant acceleration. When air resistance is considered, however, the kinematics become more complex. Because the object starts from rest, there will be no air resistance initially acting on it. But as its velocity increases, the air-resistant force will also increase proportionally. This will lower the acceleration of the object. As the velocity of the object increases, the resistive force increases, lowering the acceleration until the drag force equals the gravitational force and the acceleration becomes zero. At this point, the object will have reached a maximum constant velocity known as the terminal velocity. The displacement time and the velocity time graphs that describe this motion can be sketched. The displacement graph will show an initial curve that turns linear when the constant velocity is achieved. And the velocity time graph will show an initial curve that grows less steep, becoming horizontal when the velocity reaches the maximum terminal velocity. When an object moves through a medium, the medium is forced to flow around the object, exerting a frictional drag force on the object. The drag force opposes the motion of an object through the medium. The fluid dynamics of this situation are complex, but Stokes' Law gives an equation that can be applied to a spherical object with a small radius moving through the fluid. According to Stokes' Law, the drag force acting on a sphere moving through a liquid medium is equal to 6 pi times the viscosity of the fluid times the radius of the sphere times the velocity of the sphere. The drag force opposes the motion of an object through the medium. This drag force is proportional to a property of the medium called the viscosity. The viscosity of a fluid is a measurement of its resistance to flow. Fluids with high viscosities such as syrup or honey will increase the drag force acting on an object. The viscosities of fluids decrease as the temperature of the fluid increases. The units of the viscosity are the Newton second per meter squared or the Pascal second. In summary, the buoyancy force is an upward force acting on an object in a fluid. It is equal to the weight of the displaced fluid volume. By comparing the densities of the object and the fluid, we can quickly determine if an object will sink or float. Stokes' Law describes the drag force acting on a spherical object moving through a fluid. The drag force opposes the motion and is proportional to the velocity of the object. An object moving with a resistive force, such as air resistance or the drag force, will experience a decreasing acceleration and will achieve a constant terminal velocity. Thanks for watching.